All right, guys, Jack Spirko here, having a cup of Earl Grey tea, like Captain Picard with the rainbow farting unicorn cup, and figured it's time for a bit of a homestead update. We're going to have a bunch of little short clips here all pinned together by the time we're done. Not a lot of this stuff is actually put together yet, but I'm going to show you what we're doing. I'm in my main garage right now. You can see the wife's got Christmas packaging for all the decorations everywhere. She's got artificial snow all over my table. But this is an old work table from a factory that my father-in-law worked in for years. It's made out of oak. I got another one a bit smaller. And this is going to be a surface that I'm going to put a lot of plants on that I'm going to be starting. And last year I introduced to the audience a light from a company called Kingbo. Little 45 watt economy grow lights, and they worked really good. A lot of you guys bought them, tried them out, never heard a bad thing about them. But since I've liked the company and the results of their inexpensive lights, I decided to go all out this year. This is a beast, man. This thing is heavy. This is a 600 watt. It's got cooling fans on the back, dual cooling fans. Man, this is serious, and it will do about a 5x5 footprint for growing. So over here is a 5 foot by 5 foot, not out of the box yet, grow tent. And it's 80 inches tall. So you're talking about something, up about there tall. So I'm wanting to make the most out of it. What I'll do is, of course, I'll hang that light at the top of this tent, but I'll grow all my plants on that table right there. And the other one like it, and I can make the surface a little bit bigger with some plywood or whatever to kind of fill up most of the tent. Well, underneath it, I'm going to attach those inexpensive 45 watters and things that don't need as much of an intense grow light, and I'll get plenty from it bouncing around anyway, like lettuce starts and all can go under there. So in this one tent, man, I'm going to be able to, this winter, just start a ton of plants. My greenhouse really isn't set up for doing that well in the winter. We're talking about expanding it next year, but for this is going to be, for this year, this is going to be great. And I'll be able to start, plants starting probably, I'll have to set up by next week. I'll be starting some stuff and some stuff that's, winter hardy. And as that gets out of the way, we'll be getting into the time frame to set up other plants, things are going out in the spring and stuff like that. And you'll see why I need to start so many plants here as we continue on in just a bit. We've got the basic layout here for the larger timber frame pond that I've been threatening to make, and it's going to happen. You can see I've got some 8-foot 4x4s out here. This is some guidance from my farmhand. He started digging this for me yesterday so we can get it all dug out and leveled. It's only going to be about as deep as right there because that's our rock slab. But by taking this dirt out, you can see we're stockpiling it over there. We're going to get a little bit of in-the-ground depth here, and that's good for the overall depth of the system and what have you. But also, we'll end up, when he's done digging, this is really soft dirt if you look at it. This is all fill dirt. It'll be a real nice, easy thing to level once he gets it mostly dug out. He did this really fast yesterday, and he got to sod busting over there, and he slowed down a little bit, but he'll get on that the next time he's here. I'm going to get the 4x4s ordered. Again, it's going to be 10 foot by 12 foot this way. And there's going to be then a 20-foot row of grow beds, wicking beds, with a beautiful facade. So it all looks timbered like this, but built out of those 100-gallon tanks there. And each one of those 24-foot rows will hold 5 of those 100-gallon tanks. They're all going to be done as wicking beds with water running through them and returning back here. There's going to be another 24-foot section there. So that's 10 wicking beds, big wicking beds. And then down here, there's going to be a 10-foot that kind of squares this whole thing in. And I'll at some point in this clip today, I'll show you a graphical representation. I did it on graph paper to lay it out, but it'll be 2 more grow beds. And then there's going to be a 10-footer right there in between, making it all nice and square and Japanese-like. But inside that one, we're going to put an 8-foot oval stock tank in the bottom, 300 gallons. It'll fit inside of that 3-foot grow bed dimension. And up top, we're going to have 2 ebb and flow. Actually, we're going to have, I think we're actually probably going to go with shallow 6-foot or what I said 4 foot, shallow 4 foot stock tanks, and have 2 huge ebb and flow beds up there. Dropping down to that bottom one is a sump. So that's the low point in the system, so that we can pump water through these wicking beds and have moving water going through them, because it's better that way. But we don't have to try to return it back to this main pond directly, because this main pond is going to be about that high up, and that would mean that our wicking beds have to be at least, you know, a foot higher to be practical. So what we're going to do is this pond will run by itself. If you shut everything off, it'll still run self-contained. It'll have its own pump. It'll have its own ebb and flow beds on the sides like the other one does. This one up here, what it'll do is when that sump fills up to a certain point, it'll pump water out of that sump back into this pond, and conversely the other way, the pond will be pumping water to the ebb and flows, which will then go around to the wicking beds, return to the sump, and pump back to the pond. So we will have to do 2 pumps in this system, but it'll be hella resilient, and we'll bury up as much of the pipe as we can, and we're going to have a low point in the pipe with a valve. And that means when we have freezes, all we do is let the pond run itself self-contained and cut off the pump and the sump and drain this whole system. Boom, done. Nothing to freeze, nothing to break. It's going to be cool. It's all starting with this hole, and I wanted it to start out with a hole so you could see, you know, see its whole progression. So there you go on that. I'll come back and show you some other stuff going on here in just a minute. So anyway, you guys know I love these Rubbermaid stock tanks, and these are 100-gallon ones. They make 300-gallon ones. I'm going to be bringing, hopefully by next week, a 300-gallon one into this workshop here. It'll be set up over here. I'm going to have 2 300-watt aquarium heaters in it to keep the water warm through the winter. I'm going to set one of them all the way down at 55 degrees and the other one probably at like 65 to 70 degrees. And I'm going to be bringing in a whole bunch more of these white tilapia. I was not real happy with the white tilapias. There's Fox coming to join us and see what's going on. Fine mice, buddy. Anyway, I wasn't really, you know, in love with the tilapia until we had the freeze and they died and we cleaned them this year. Yeah, I kind of like tilapia now. Tilapia you raise yourself, they are nothing like tilapia from the store. And we were cleaning them right here. We use this this tub here as a workbench, and we cleaned them. And all we did was gut and scale them, left the heads on. It's about 30 seconds to clean a fish, and it's easy, and they taste great, and they're such a wonderful fish to work with. Whatever you flavor them with, they just take that flavor in great. So I want to grow a lot more of them this year. So I haven't decided how many yet based on this system. They're not going in that pond we just talked about over there. They may be going in my in-ground ponds, because even with the freeze we had down at 24 degrees, and every tilapia in this system here floated, including the ones in the greenhouse, and I had the greenhouse heated. Well, they didn't float. When they die, they sink. You have to net them up off the bottom. But the ones in my dadgone pond, we'll go back out here, the ones in my stainless steel, or my galvanized tanks that everybody freaks out about, and these systems have been running for 4 years now, and they ain't having a problem going with them yet. But not these guys up here. I think they would have not done so well. But with this tank being in the ground here, there's 40-watt tilapia in there, and I ain't seen a dead one yet. If we get them through this winter, these things are going to be beasts. Beasts next year. But I still want to bring some more in, because it's easy meat production. Yeah, 40 of them in that pond. And, I mean, you can see it killed all the floating water plants and all, but, yeah, they're down in there, and they're not real active, but they're not dead. So I may add some out here. I may put some in this upper pond. We didn't have any in the upper pond this year. But I don't want to be trying to get them out of like a really big tank. But mostly I think I'm going to grow them in the 100-gallon tanks in the aviary. It's nice and shady in there, and they're real easy to harvest when you want to. But I'm going to set up that 300-gallon tank in here with those aquarium heaters, you know, and order 200 or 300, I don't know, fingerlings as soon as I get it set up, so that it has as much time to grow as possible next year, because when you do get your first real freeze in these systems, it's over, it's game on. You know, you got to have cleaning day. The nice thing is the water's nice and cold, so it's not like you got to get in a hurry about it. You do, you know, they're fresh, they're ready to go. You don't have to kill them. In fact, most of them weren't even completely dead when we processed them. We had to give them a little head stab to put them out. They just were on their last legs, man. They were just, their gills barely moving. Anyway, so that's going to be set up in here. And I'm going to probably set up maybe one of these 50-gallon tanks, or maybe two of my, because I got a bunch of them over here I pulled out of other systems already ready to go. Just need to add a little rock to them. So they're already set up. They're plumbed. They have siphons and all. Set up a couple of these over top of it and set up a little mini aquaponics system in here. Run on a little bitty pump. And that's filtration for the fish. There's Dana. But the other thing that's going to do is it's going to be another place that we can grow food over the winter. I can put a couple of those cheap grow lights up over it. I can just get like cheap standing lamp and a couple of those screw-in ones that are like 15 bucks. Because there's a natural light in here from the skylights anyway. And with that door closed and with that water being heated to that temperature, nothing's going to freeze in here. And it's another place we can do starts and do rootings before we get on to everything else. Of course, we've got the greenhouse we can do that with as well. But it'll be more stable in here. And I know if I put those fingerlings in that system now, they will be dead because we will get another hard freeze this year, at least one. And so by having them in here, I'm going to have fish that are going to have a full year of growth under them for harvest next year. Anyway, we'll catch up with you in a second with a little bit more. So now we're in the greenhouse, and I went ahead and built a rain gutter grow system. Larry Hall made this famous. And these are just 5-gallon buckets filled up with a good potting mix. And in the bottom, we have one of these little 3-inch net cups going down into that gutter. That's plumbed to my solid separator there. So all that nasty gick fish water is going in there and fertilizing these plants. And honestly, this time of year, they don't even really need it. I'm not happy with that float valve. I'm going to be getting another one, and when I do, I'll show you why I like it better. It looks just like that. It's the back side of it. This is different. But you can see the cold weather has taken its toll. Nothing in here froze, but the water did get cold enough that all my tilapias did die. All my perch are still fine down in there. The water spinach is alive, but you can tell it just ain't happy at all. But we got, I've been cutting my Swiss chard like crazy. It's coming back again. I don't know how many times. That big old clump of celery back there, I put a base of celery from from leftovers from a store-bought celery in there last year. We've been picking celery off of that clump for a year now, and it's still going strong. I took some of the peppers out of the aviary and brought them in here to try to keep them alive. They're doing all right. But you can see that's what I've done here. I had these beautiful Cuban L peppers this year. And these plants, guys, when I pulled them out of the wicking beds, if I wouldn't have pruned them, they would be up to here. They were huge. They were up, and some of them went through the roof of the aviary and had peppers outside where I couldn't get them. Now, most people don't know this. Peppers are not an annual. We grow them as annuals, but they're a perennial shrub, a short-lived perennial. They live 6 to 10 years in their native habitat where it doesn't freeze. So they're a little sad, but we're putting them on Dr. Earth and some other stuff and Garrett juice and getting them all charged back up. But next year, when there's no more danger of frost, and I'm going to keep pruning these and make them really bushy. The more you prune them, the more stout they get instead of long and stringy. And they're going to go right back in the bed they grew in last year. And I'll have peppers earlier than anybody else around here. The jalapenos I put in here, they were really sad. I don't know if they're going to make it or not. This one's looking pretty decent. But it's a little hack you have. If you have a place where you can get overwinter peppers, you can pull them right out of the ground. Dig them rather than pull them is probably a better way to do it. And they'll have some transplant shock and all, but they'll make it through. And boy, when you plant them out next year, boom. We got a buddy of mine up in Prince Edward Island in Canada named Brent. I think he's on his 5th year with some of his peppers. He's been doing that since he heard about it on my show. Anyway, Bloody Doc's doing okay. It's just, you can tell it's winter. And we need to get some winter crops into here, some lettuces and stuff like that. We'll show you what's going on in the aviary, and we'll wrap up for the day. Well, if you look at videos of the inside of this place from 6 weeks ago, it's hard to believe it's the same place. It was like a jungle in here. And you can see the frost is really taking its toll. And of course, I pulled out all the pepper plants and what have you. But my little girls are hanging out with me, and they're up to something. They're up to something good and up to something no good. We have had hell trying to get our quail to lay. At least we thought we did. Got artificial lighting in here, got to be winter. All the quail eggs just disappeared. Well, we know where they're going. My plan to have these guys raise quail for me is not going to work. My buddy David brought me some fertile quail eggs over. We stuck them under the broody hen that's in there. and came back in 15 minutes. They were all but one gone, eaten. These guys are eating my freaking quail eggs. So I got to figure out where to go from here. But for now, I figured since she's broody, let's give her something to do. So let's see what she's up to. I think she's got a friend in there with her. I got to come in here every day and now they might be moving that one out. That's a duck egg, ain't it? Let's see, girl. Come here. Well, they ain't got none of their own eggs out yet this morning, but I don't know how fertile these eggs are, so I'm going to candle them in a couple days after she's been on them. And I think that one was, see, look, she's pegging at them. She wants to eat the dadgone things, or I don't know if she's doing that or just turning them. But they are definitely egg-eating little chickens here, and it seems like when I get in here, their behavior doing this gets worse. But the nice thing is, with a duck egg, they can't quite make it happen. And I have a feeling if one of them starts, or two of them start to develop, Miss Broody in there, she's going to start taking a lot better care of them. So she is sitting on them. Every time I come in here, she's on them. And they're kept nice and warm. But we'll see where it goes from here. What's nice is, since they lay little brown eggs, and I know what a duck egg looks like, I can come in here every day and take their eggs, and we'll see how this goes. But we'll see how that works. What I'm actually thinking about doing, though, and this is going to sound crazy, but it really isn't. I'm thinking about getting a really cool bantam rooster and putting a rooster in here with these 4 hens. They'll all be fertile. And let them every once in a while hatch some bantams. And grow those bantams for about 12 weeks. And they'll be a lot, they won't be big, but they'll be a lot bigger than a quail. And I hear tell, even though they're small, that bantam chickens are good eating. Don't worry, I'm not going to eat you. You're my friend. But I might eat your kids. I'm sorry. But we're gonna think about that. And so that's what's going on in the aviary. I did get all the rafts built. I've got all of the cups in. It's kind of the cart before the horse here. We won't be doing a lot of raft growing in here, because if we try to do raft growing in here, you know what's going to happen. The freeze is going to come, and even lettuce and stuff will kill it. But this is my plan. Plan out one of them. And on nights we're going to have a freeze, I can take it in there and stick it on top of that 300-gallon tank that'll be in there running. I'll leave enough surface area to be able to do that. And I can basically get that lettuce to not be killed when we get hard freezes. So everything's kind of coming together. I'm taking a different approach this year. I'm not messing around, basically. I am going to see how much this little system right here that we're putting it, the big one we're putting in, all of this stuff. People say I don't have any land. This aviary is big, but it's just only 10 foot wide and 50 foot long. There's going to be way less than a 1/4 acre needed to do all of this stuff. And I think you guys are going to be surprised by what's coming this year. And we got some big modifications. Cody's going to be doing a lot of digging. I'm not happy with the wicking beds done this way. There's just basically a pipe that's like a T underneath there with holes in it, draining. And if it gets clogged up, there's no way to service it. We did this one different. We're going to convert the others to this, and this is what the new ones are going to be. This is basically a dirt excluding pipe is all it is. And down in there, there's a stand-up, just a single 1-inch piece of pipe stood up that goes back to the return. And that means you can look down there and see it. And if it gets clogged up, you can pull it out and clean it out. If you want to have your water level higher, you can put take just a coupler and stick it on there, and that's going to raise the height, an inch. If you want it lower, you can pull the pipe out and, make it a little, and cut a piece off and stick it back in, so you can really control your depth real easy with them. And again, they're easier to service. The thing is, this has turned into a storage for potatoes. I got awesome potatoes in here. These Japanese reds. I almost don't want to pull them, or Japanese purples. I don't want to pull them out, really, because when I pull it out, then I really need to take it in. But I'll get one out for you. Oh, it's a big one. So, oh, man, that's a big one. Hold on a second, guys. Oh, look at that. A little tuber off the side of it. Right there. Boy, we found a way to cook these. It is, man, look at that piece on it down. It was getting down into that, to the wet area is what it did. It put that appendage on. But these Japanese purples, man, these are awesome. And I really could just bury this and it'll stay nice and fresh out here. I'm gonna take these little ones, I'm gonna put them right back in the soil. And they'll probably just grow back on their own next year. We'll take this big old honking one in there and eat it either tomorrow or this weekend or something like that. But so all of that sweet potato green we ate all summer long, and the chickens ate it all summer long, and the quail ate it all summer long. Now it's left us with tubers. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. We'll catch up with you soon.